right, Brett, so
We
let's go
lost
to Houston.
Brenton Wilson.
Oh, gosh, I was getting ready to call him out. All right, Breach, I'll come back to you then. So C.J. Stroud missed 2 games with concussion, came back, and was lights out. Looked like he hadn't missed a beat. Puka Nacua had another huge game, but I think C.J. is going to have to be the rookie of the year no matter what. He's been that good. He's helping get this team to the playoffs. You just talked about the defense being so good in the last month in terms of the sacks. But here's what's going to happen, Breach. The Jags lose next week at Tennessee, and we'll see if Will Levis plays. He had to leave this game with a foot injury. Ryan Tannehill might be a better option, for being honest. And Houston wins next week against Indianapolis in Indy. They win the division. It's that simple.
For Houston?
For Houston. And even if the Jags win that game and Houston wins next week, they're in the playoffs. So the future is in their hands, and they can get a little help to win the division. But if they win, they are in. How excited are you about this Texas team? How quick is this turnaround? And are they dangerous should they get themselves to the playoffs?
I love the Texans. Watching the Texans is fun. Watching them play is fun, not just offensively. Defensively, they absolutely dominated Tennessee today. Not that that's difficult because the Titans' offense has been horrible all year. And as you said, C.J. Stroud misses 2 games, comes out, looks efficient, plays pretty well. And that's what you want to see because you want to get them back in, win the game, get them back to being comfortable, and then go out and get your playoff berth against the Colts next week by beating them. But, yeah, I think the Texans – they get in the playoffs. I think they can absolutely win a game. I don't think they are a Super Bowl team, but that's just because rookie quarterbacks don't make it to the Super Bowl. It's just the playoffs are another level of pressure that you can't simulate. You don't know it until you get there. So, yeah, I think the Texans could absolutely get to the divisional round. Brenton scoffed when I said they're not a Super Bowl team, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bold claim.
Okay.
Brenton, did they win the division?
No.
Jags have
no. I think the Titans are bad off, dude.
Well, Ryan Tannehill may play, and C.J. Beathard may play.
Ryan Tannehill played today. It didn't help.
Well, they were down big when he had to come in.
No. He came in, but I think it was 14-0 at Memphis when he came in.
That's down. That's down.
Well, I mean, I know. I'm just saying. I mean, Tannehill came in, and I had in DFS, I had some CJ Stroud stuff with bringbacks with like Treylon Burks, and it was like Tannehill came in, and I was like, yes, now we've got a shootout in our hands. The Texans scored 3 points. The Titans scored 3 points. I'm not trying to scoff at the idea of the Texans like making a run, but we know that traditionally rookie quarterbacks do not fare well in their first playoff game. CJ Stroud, I believe his only playoff game was against Georgia, and he was great. So, in college, I don't want
other rookie quarterbacks. He's been better than all.
He's been awesome. But if the Browns beat the Bengals, I'm just doing some quick napkin math here. Ravens hit their starters, Steelers win, Browns beat the Bengals. Do the Browns care or do they not care? So Bengals probably win.
Neither team care. That game means nothing to the playoffs.
Okay. So all right. So whatever. That doesn't matter. Texans beat the Colts. Chiefs beat the Chargers. And then the only other AFC matchup, Jags over the Titans, Jets over the Patriots. So just plug those in. If the Bills win, it's Houston as a 7 seed at Buffalo as a 2 seed. And if the Dolphins win, it's Houston as a 6 seed at KC as a 3 seed. So awesome if Houston gets in. This is one where when we in the offseason, when we say they had a great season, you can have a great season without winning the Super Bowl. Not every team goes into the season thinking, can we win this? We can win the Super Bowl. I mean, they may think that. It's not true. If the Texans make the playoffs and are competitive in a wild card weekend game at Buffalo or at Kansas City, then big old golf claps all around. CJ Stroud's been incredible. They might have the offensive rookie of the year and the defensive rookie of the year. Will Anderson could steal it because he had 2 sacks today. And like Jalen Carter, I think is the favorite, but that's a pretty nebulous race. Now that hadn't fared well for the Jets after last season, but nevertheless, Houston is the trajectory is up. And if you're a Texans fan, you have to feel good for the first time in a long time about where you're at.
You know what? We had this debate last year. Do you remember? I think it was the Vikings we used as can your season still be a success if you lose in the first round of the playoffs? If If the Ravens lose in the first round of the playoffs, their season is not a success. If the Texans lose in the first round of the playoffs, their season is still an absolute success. So it just depends on what level you're at. And I totally agree with you, Brinson, that no matter what happens, if this team gets to the postseason, this is, I mean, just a huge success no matter what happens in the playoffs. They're playing with house money after that if they're in the postseason.
Yeah, and I wouldn't actually sleep on them if they had to go to Kansas City. That offense is actually playing better than Kansas City's offense right now, and the defense isn't far behind. So that'll be fun. But again, the expectations outside of that building are not ones that they get too far in January. But hey, that's why you
also,
play the game.
Wilson, I mean, this is your your realm, but I think
your wheelhouse.
Houston traded up for a future first with Arizona at the time, and to get Will Anderson, 3rd overall after taking a quarterback. Trading a future first to go get a pass rusher, pretty bold at 3rd overall. And he's panned out, and 2, the pick is, I think, going to be at worst 15. Like 15 would be the worst pick they give up, which I think to me is a net win. You always gamble when you do that.
Way more than that. Yeah.
Right.
No one's talking about it. Like, no one is talking about it. And that's
everyone's talking about Carolina. Like David Tepper threw a drink on a fan. We'll get to that. Or allegedly threw a drink on a fan. But yes, yeah.
Even if Carolina wasn't in this universe, no one would be talking about this trade because it hasn't worked out.
Right.
And the other thing,
Arizona's not mad, but they're like, oh man, we thought that was gonna be a higher pick.
No, I'm sure they got Paris Johnson Jr. They moved down and got some extra picks too. I'm sure they're probably happy with certainly the way Kyler's playing. But the thing that I kept hearing during the draft process was that the Texans did not love CJ. They loved Bryce. They loved Will Anderson, was thinking about taking him at number 2. And obviously something changed before that happened, but they did go back up and get Will Anderson. And I've been saying this since the start of the season. CJ's been balling out. Sometimes you get the quarterback you need, not the one you want. And that's a cautionary tale for teams picking in this draft and for everyone till the end of time. But yeah, absolutely. No one is talking about that pick. It's been an absolute grand slam. Will Anderson's been awesome. And obviously CJ Stroud's been somehow better than that.